Hello, my YouTube family. How are you guys doing today? Happy New Year to you all. Do I have an amazing video for you? And hopefully today, this time, YouTube will promote this video and promote it well. I'm going to do the very best I can, guys, because we're going to talk about the missing trillions again from the U.S. federal government. That's right, I did a video on it. It was a longer video. I released it 3 days after I did a long video on the black budget technology, guys. Because as you probably know, those of you that have watched my channel so far, and everybody new to my channel, by the way, welcome. But people that have watched my videos, you guys know my life goal, and I'm telling everybody new to my channel, my lifetime goal is to decrypt and penetrate this black budget technology for us, my friends. And I'm, through my research, what I've learned, and again, I might have an informant at Lockheed Martin, you never know. But what I've learned, guys, I'm trying to help educate, trying to help us to become more competent in getting fundamental understanding of these covert military civilizations. And this includes the missing trillions, guys, all the money. And the numbers are gonna blow your minds, guys. So again, if you think I have some value to share with humanity, I think I do. I'm trying my very best. I'm not perfect, of course, but I'm a hardcore researcher trying to bring the much needed sufficient transparency, and together we can be advocates for the truth, guys, and we can break down the walls of this crazy, absurd elite secrecy on the real secret space program. Jason Cosmic RSSP Authority. You guys, my present subscribers, you know what RSSP stands for, right? Newbies new to my channel, stands for Real Secret Space Program. Way up there in space, all right? But as I was saying, if you guys think I have some value to share, I'm trying to be bold, honest, open, and true. If you enjoy my videos, I'm trying to be intellectually honest with my work, guys. I am, okay? I hope you'll give me the thumbs up as well and subscribe, and feel free to share my videos. And leave a comment, guys. I've had a lot of comments on certain videos, and I read them, and I appreciate it. Even if it's constructive criticism, I can handle it. I'm a fitness captain after all. I'm strong. But let's get into it, shall we, my friends? Let's dive right in. I'm going to give you my hardcore assessment, but we're going to follow the line of research, largely, of Catherine Austin Fitz's amazing work as the financial expert with her experience working under George W. Bush back in the day, right? She was Secretary for Housing and Urban Development, my friends. She's a brilliant economist. She's got her fingers on the pulse of what's going on, guys. She was seeing a lot of the money disappearing. And for 15 years, she's trying to bring transparency to the black budget. As you'll see, my friends, in a moment, this is the lion's share of the economy, and Catherine knows that and shows you guys. It absolutely is. We got to look at it. If we want to understand the economy, if we want to stop being financially harvested, which we'll get into, guys, then we've got to talk about this and use intelligent discourse, and we've got to talk about the numbers and what the hell is going on and where is all the money going. We'll get to that, guys, okay? So let's get into it, shall we? I'll give you my hardcore assessment, again, adding my own flavor and following some of the line of Catherine's research and experience as a brilliant financial expert that she is, okay? And she's been interviewed numerous times on dark journalists. So this is real information, my friends, and real facts, okay? And if I do ever speculate on my videos, as a good researcher, as I always say, you try to connect the dots together. It doesn't mean you'll always connect the dots together every time correctly, but a lot of times you can, my friends, okay? So here we go. First of all, we've got a huge part of the balance sheet that is both globally and domestically invisible. That's right. We have a secret classified endowment, get this, guys, of trillions and trillions of dollars that is just disappearing down a black hole or, behind a non-transparent one-way mirror. And this secret classified endowment, my friends, of trillions and trillions of dollars, and again, the numbers I think are going to blow a lot of your minds out there. It certainly did for me. It was shocking, my friends. But this money, this whole economy that's being engineered to produce this enormous amount of funds of government and private money, your taxpayers' dollars, guys, which we'll get into, it is literally financing, as I always say, an off-world culture, a post-petroleum civilization, and I describe covert military civilizations that undoubtedly we have, my friends. It is undeniable. Doing massive off-planet investment on our nearest celestial bodies, the far side of the moon, which has been going on for decades, since the 1960s. We'll do future videos on that, my friends. And it's been going on the one side of Mars since probably the 1970s. Actually, no doubt about it, okay? Just going to switch the angle of the camera just to show you a little bit of my tree and my beautiful pleasure palace and our wonderful lobby. I'm so thankful. But I digress. So as we go on here, guys, so in other words, again, we think of, Catherine even said, you know, think of the whole planet being organized and run sort of like a hive, right? And, you know, what's extraordinary is not just how much money that's disappearing, but the dysfunction it causes in an economy, in the financial systems, right? Because we got a totally overt economy, overt financial system, where people for many years were pretending that this just isn't happening, right? It amazes me wherever I go, whether it be Starbucks, Tim Hortons, in the public, nobody hardly ever talks about the missing trillions. You got to go to alternative media sites, basically, for the most part, right? However, we're going to bring up a number later, my friends, that was carried worldwide. They had to cover it, okay? And it's a magic number. You'll see why as we go along. So again, overt economy, overt financial system. More people are waking up, though. That's the good news, my friends, the great news, right? Since Catherine's been interviewed numerous times discussing the missing trillions, I'm trying to do it in my own way too, my friends. Obviously, Catherine has a lot more followers at this point, and she's had quite the career. And I give her credit, honorable mention, that more people are waking up. And I believe a lot, you could see it, the behavior of some of the U.S. intel agencies, my friends, elements of the CIA, NSA, NRO, some of the deep black program contractors out there, they're very nervous, okay? Because we're talking treason here, my friends. This cover-up that we'll hopefully get into later in this video, as I've discussed before, my friends, it is so outrageous, the lies, guys, and we'll do a timeline in a moment too of where this all started, I believe, in the U.S., okay? But just know that the defining driver in the U.S. economy, I believe, and Catherine does too, has been space since 1947. It really has, my friends. Okay, now we're looking, of course, at a space-based economy, which we'll do future videos on. But here we go, my friends. So, again, extraordinary amounts of money disappearing, of course. I'm going to get into the numbers. And, you know, the reality is, guys, and Catherine knows this too, as the lies have continued, and again, so many egregious lies, the U.S. leadership and government, as you'll see hopefully in this video, my friends, and past videos that I've done and future videos that we'll do, that Catherine knows too, the U.S. leadership and government, unfortunately, they have lost the ability to deal with the divergence between reality and official reality. They really have. So guys, the reality is, as I said, as the lies have continued, it's become almost as expensive as the money that's disappearing, because when you're trying to run a government, when you're trying to run a business, when you're trying to run a household or a budget or your personal savings and investments, and if everything around you is surrounded by what Catherine calls material emissions. We got people in my lobby just enjoying our pleasure palace here and watching me, but I'm going to stay focused on you guys right now. So as I was saying, my friends, when you're trying to run, one more time, a government, a budget, a business, or your personal savings and investments, and if everything around you is surrounded with what Catherine calls material emissions, and if you don't have a basic map of economic reality and financial reality, right, you're in a whole world of hurt. Because as a financial expert that Catherine is, my friends, if she wants to understand the if she wants to understand the economy and the financial systems, she's got to understand more and more of this phenomena, as I always describe, which Catherine knows is military UFOs. That's the term, by the way, my friends, hardly anybody uses. You know, Catherine will say UFOs, but it's military UFOs, my friends, and Catherine knows this. She's got to understand, when you've got hundreds of trillions of dollars of hardware flying around in our skies, that is absolutely pertinent to what's happening in the manufacturing basis of our planet. That's reason, logic, common sense, guys. And this is why, right, we got to talk about it and discuss it and bring transparency in a real financial way as well. And that's what Catherine's trying to do, guys. And we need more people like her to try to do this and bring new awareness And how much money are we talking? Which again, guys, we will get into, okay? And these triangles, by the way, this is just an example, guys. I penetrated it, try to show you the black budget technology, breaking it down. We'll do it in future videos. This is the TR-3B that comes out of the Aurora Space Program. Lockheed Martin, the prime contractors. I show you and prove to you guys that Lockheed Martin are the prime contractors for a lot of these vehicles. These are trillions of dollars of hardware, my friends. Again, trillions of dollars of covert economic crime cash flows, or at least hundreds of billions of dollars just in the last few decades. And I would say trillions of dollars from your taxpayers' dollars in the US, and that means it affects my beautiful, powerful people in Canada, my powerful country, and countries around the world, all our allies in Europe, right guys? I mean, come on, we gotta look at it, right? We gotta discuss this. So, now where did the timeline start in all this, my friends? Where did even Catherine says, but really from the beginning of time, she's always thought that, I thought this was an interesting statement, the way she looked at it. I think she's right when she says, she's always believed the world has sort of been governed by private governments. And you need the government to sort of own, control, and finance the military technology, right? But what's changed in the last few years, my friends, and it's a dangerous change, and we'll get into it, but the governments, they no longer own and control the military technology, right? And anybody with, half awake knows this. You can see it, that the governments still finance a lot of the military technology, my friends. And we got to discuss this and, get the government to finally be courageous on this ridiculous cover-up and tell us the truth. Stop gouging our taxpayers' dollars and the defense contractors and elements of CIA, my friends. But again, the military, they still finance it, but they lost all control and management, guys, because it's all buried, as I've said before, within the defense contractors, and they use the private corporations that are usually affiliated and contracted within the military. That way they hide everything, my friends. And as Billy Carson, who owns First Class Space Agency, he'll tell you the same thing. He knows it starts within those dark projects, guys. It absolutely does. I describe the unacknowledged special access projects, the UFO flying programs, my friends, okay? And so where did this all start, my friends? Like I said, they're using the private corporations. Well, it started and by the way, my friends, I almost forgot, by using those private corporations, and when you're talking about the defense contractors and all the secret technology development, there's no congressional oversight, right? Even I discussed, I'll link a live stream, guys, in my description again. I did an amazing live stream with a wonderful YouTube personality, a great guy named Joe from the Carolinas. Hi, Joe. Joe and I had a little spat a few months ago. Hopefully we can repair our relationship. He got mad at me because I sent him a few too many photos on an email and I forgot it. Apparently it cost some money. So I apologize, Joe, but come on, dude. You got to stop ghosting me, man. We're both doing great research. We got a lot in common. We're trying to bring transparency and truth. Even though Joe and I, at times, we orient our research, as I've said before, a little bit differently at times, but we're usually with the same goals. And we did an amazing live stream, guys. You can check it out. I think one of the most electrifying, powerful live theater podcasts ever done. And Joe, I compel you, dude, be courageous, do the right thing. You said you'd have me on another podcast. You guys will hear him say that because we got a great response. We had a lot of fun doing it too. So Joe, it's time. It's about a year later, man. Let's do this, okay? Do the right thing so we can educate a lot more people, thousands, and help our society. Sorry, I got off track, guys, but I think it's important. So that'll be in the description. So as I was saying, my friends, with the private corporations, there is no congressional oversight largely, right? Because if you're a defense contractor, you don't report. They don't have the same disclosure requirements of the government. Catherine knows this too, guys. This is why I focus in part a lot on Lockheed Martin, guys, who have largely been unencumbered from any responsibility and accountability in a lot of their programs. And the F-35 is the biggest scam on taxpayers in history, guys. I did a whole series on that, and we'll do it again. The F-35 turkey plane from Lockheed Martin, guys. Over $1 trillion spent on this ridiculous plane, and no country needs a fleet of F-35s, I'll tell you. But just to give you an example, guys, Lockheed Martin have conned 9 other foreign nations with this. It's crazy. It's outrageous, guys, and they should be accountable, right? Elements, at least, of Lockheed Martin. So, let's go to 1947 briefly, my friends. I mentioned that year earlier because there was a lot going on in 1947, right? The vital part of the American history here is we know the national security state under Truman was created, right? In 1947, he created, unfortunately, the CIA, right? And we know 3.5 years later, we'll do whole videos again on the CIA, guys, but he regretted his decision. You know, he knew it became a rogue agency almost right away. They were doing major covert operations in the US and abroad with no restrictions whatsoever, guys, and it was totally illegal because nowhere in the documents, of course, did allow the CIA to do covert operations in the US or abroad. But they did by deference to the tune of billions of dollars. They were already going out of control. We know in the last several decades, guys, they are more unconstrained, out of control largely than ever. And I always qualified there's still some good people in the CIA, and we've got to compel these good guys to stick up for us. And even YouTubers like myself, hopefully, and other hardcore researchers that have noble intentions, that are trying to bring transparency, truth, and awareness on these important issues, but these vital issues. Some of the most important issues, I believe, of our times, guys. We've got to compel these guys, the good ones in the CIA, do the right thing. Help us out here. But unfortunately, guys, there's a lot of evil, dark shadow groups, or at least some of them. Some of the petro-Nazi, American, British misanthropic money hoarders, as I described. You guys may have heard me say that before. The petro-oligarchs, some of them, and warmongers, troglodytes, right? So, guys, again, 1947, under the national security state, you had CIA moving in. So here it was. Even Catherine tells you, right? You had the 47 and 49 Act, and with those provisions, and then you had the CIA funding moving in. That's when I always describe, my friends, and I said this on the live stream with Joe, we got into the missing trillions because he wanted me to discuss it, all right? He saw one of my old videos a long time ago with my old phone in a noisy park discussing the missing trillions, and thankfully Joe thought I brought up a lot of facts and he was intrigued, and he thought we could do a good live stream, and we got right into the technology a little bit too, my friends. So, again, 47-49 Act, when you had the CIA funding moving in with those provisions, that's when you set up, I described the critical train tracks of government money flowing into private corporations eventually, my friends. Absolutely. They had found a way to get an infinite amount of government financing, as you'll see in this video, my friends, totally off the books, okay? And when you go to the 1960s under Eisenhower, of course, remember, what did he say at the end of his speech? Very important, my friends. That famous speech, of course, he said, beware of the military-industrial complex. Right, guys? I mean, and again, reason, logic, common sense. It goes without saying, there's still a lot of great people in the military. Don't get me wrong, my friends. And you never know. I may have been involved in a classified project or two, secret mission. You never know. And I just might have an informant at Lockheed Martin. But we're not going to get into details, guys. But just know I'm a hardcore researcher, guys, and I got noble intentions here, all right? So in the 1960s, that's when I believe there was, and Catherine, I think, suspects this too, guys, the secret technology development was just basically going out of control. Again, you had private corporations involved, you had, and then when George W. Bush came in office, remember, guys, and we'll go into 9/11 in a moment, but when Bush came in office, I discussed this on the live stream with Joe, guys, and I learned this from Catherine, of course, that he got in control of the enforcement line, and you add to that through executive order that ability for basically an unedited open flow of cash flow to just go right into private corporations, guys. An unedited open flow of cash to go to private corporations for all this secret technology development. And really, even Catherine will tell you, you're looking at a U.S. federal tax credit mechanism with all the overt military behind it. Because remember, guys, they use the private corporations that are affiliated contract within the military. So you got a U.S. federal tax credit mechanism with all the overt military behind it. Again, financing these trillions and trillions of dollars, guys. A U.S. federal tax credit mechanism being engineered in a way to generate an enormous amount of funds, guys. So many trillions of dollars, and gouging taxpayers' money to, so much money from you guys as well, from us, that And it's going for largely military UFO flying programs, guys. I can't stress that enough, and therefore major, major off-planet investment. I know it sounds wild, guys, but this is real reality that's happening. We got to look at it. And again, you know, UFOs just here around our planet, in our skies, have been seen by millions of people worldwide now, my friends. But they don't tell you what the technology is, guys. And they've lied to us for 70 years now. Okay? Enough is enough, right? This is crazy. And so, we got the 4749 Act. I talked about the 1960s. And then, of course, remember 9/11, guys. What happened the day before 9/11? Well, there were a few people that were on to some of the missing trillions that was going on. So Rumsfeld, he had to announce it. He announced, remember that figure that shocked the world basically? $3.3 trillion, I believe he said, was missing in 1 year, guys. Okay? And then 9/11 happens, and you know, what a perfect excuse for, I believe, some shadow groups there to make that hideous event happen with some many innocent lives, of course, perish. Because what better way for some of these greedy shadow groups, my friends, because you wipe away all the accounting offices too on the missing trillions. I think that was a total false flag. A lot of people concur with me. I think the evidence is overwhelming, my friends, when you connect the dots and you just see the behavior of some of the elements of the CIA and some of the other shadow groups over the decades, okay? It was all to inject power in the Middle East, largely for certain American groups, I think, my friends, and some other groups out there. And Europe, you know, certain groups. But anyway, getting off track here, guys. So, you got the $3.3 trillion missing. And then, as Catherine will tell you, shockingly, my friends, you know what happened? You know, Bush, George W., a former CIA guy himself, he increased the appropriation for defense there by $48 billion increase in DOD, my friends, I believe it was. $48 billion. Can you imagine that? As Catherine says, unbelievable. But this is what's happening, guys. And now I'll tell you some funny stories and bring out some amazing numbers, my friends. Well, it's somewhat a funny story, but I mean, funny as it's just so outrageous. I shouldn't say funny, but although Catherine has some hilarious stories that we'll get into hopefully in future videos, my friends. But, you know, here's an example. For example, one summer she's talking to a congressman. This is back in the day, I guess, when she's working under George W. Bush, right? And so she's talking to a congressman who's on the board, who's in charge of the Appropriations Subcommittee board for both DOD and Defense. And she looks at this person, she says, Congressman, we've got $3.3 trillion missing from DOD the last 2 years. What are you going to do about it? You know what this congressman tells her? He says, there's nothing I can do about it. And then the interviewer said, that's a remarkable statement. Catherine says, I'll tell you another remarkable statement. This blew me away, my friends. She says she was, I think that following summer, she was talking to a chairman on the board for a senator that is in charge of the Appropriations Subcommittee for both HUD, Housing and Urban Development, which Catherine was, you know, the federal housing there in charge of. So a chairman who's on the board for Appropriations Subcommittee in charge of for HUD and 21 various agencies, my friends, in the U.S. federal government. Okay, again, a chairman who's on the board in charge of the Appropriations Subcommittee, for both HUD and 21 various agencies. Now, as Catherine will tell you, a senator, who's in charge of the Appropriations Subcommittee, again, guys, I hope I pronounced that right. The last video I made a mistake. Again, she talked to the chairman, okay, who was on the board and worked for a senator. Now, the senator was in charge of the Appropriations Subcommittee for both HUD and 21 various other agencies. I think I said that correctly this time. And so, what's significant, guys, Catherine tells you a chairman who's in charge of the Appropriations Subcommittee is arguably, you know, highest in the pecking scheming orders of Washington, government money, right? Higher than OMB, arguably, highest again in the pecking scheming orders of government money. And so this person looks at Catherine and says, do you know what's going on at HUD? And Catherine says, no, what's going on? And Catherine says, we've got, someone's trying to get in the door, guys. Catherine says, or no, the person looks at Catherine and says, do you know what's going on at HUD? Yeah, and Catherine says, no, what's going on? And Catherine says, or this person tells Catherine, HUD is being run as a criminal enterprise. Well, you can't, here's the thing, guys. Catherine says, what's interesting about that statement is, HUD is run on a matrix structure. So you can't run HUD as a criminal enterprise unless the criminal justice, the Treasury, and the New York Fed and New York Fed member banks run it as a criminal enterprise. Isn't that remarkable, guys? I mean, that blew my mind too. Hopefully, guys, it'll flabbergast you guys out there of what's happening. HUD being run as a criminal enterprise, and that's exactly right. Guys, I've discussed before where Catherine will tell you in interviews. She used to go drive around towns, communities, and cities, especially her towns near Texas, I guess. In a few places, and every time she would go around, this was during the telecom bubble and internet bubble, not now, guys, but back then. And she could see, she'd see all these business installations, and she would realize they seemed desolate, like they weren't doing any business. So she'd go into a lot of these businesses, and not one, except, well, actually one business out of about 30, she gave an example of 25 or 30 businesses. Not one of them, except for, well, one, were financially economic, guys. In other words, they couldn't carry their variable costs in these installations, right? Because Catherine would go in and she would just talk to the people that own these businesses, right? And she could price out their overhead basically in her head for a year, what it was, and by talking to them. And they weren't economically viable, guys. So in other words, she could see that it was symbolic to the financial fraud and stock market fraud. You had a whole system of businesses, guys, where again, a lot of this money is getting deciphered off into the black budget. This is what they do. The military, they've done it like a fine art in elements of the CIA, guys, in the intelligence community. They funnel money out in communities, towns, and cities. And they've caused, this is why I do these videos, guys, we know, right? They've caused so much anguish, heartache, depression, sadness, homeless people, millions of homeless people, when it shouldn't be happening, my friends, right? There shouldn't be one homeless person. I mean, come on. I've learned we got hundreds of thousands of homeless people in my powerful country, Canada. Are you kidding me? And this is what, the F-35 debacle, this duplicitous military business scheme and scam I described with Lockheed Martin, my friends, this is what it's done, okay? Just to give you a quick example, Catherine doesn't talk about this, of course, but I look hard at the defense contractors like the likes of Lockheed Martin, my friends, that I've told you we need to focus on more than any other defense contractor, okay? Northrop Grumman, Boeing, they're doing classified projects, make no mistake about it. But Lockheed Martin, my friends, and even Catherine will tell you guys, this is significant in terms of the money and the control being exercised by a defense contractor, right? This will blow your mind hopefully too. It certainly did me. When Catherine was interviewed numerous times with dark journalists, and I've said this in future videos, guys, but I think it's worth repeating for new people new to my channel. Hello, everybody. But Catherine tells you that, anytime she went to get data from HUD, Housing and Urban Development, or DOD, Defense, or whatever it was always blocked. Can you guess who? You got it. It was always blocked by Lockheed Martin, my friends. Absolutely. And whenever she went to get the contracting paperwork that came out of HUD, again, guys, it was controlled by Lockheed Martin. So obviously you've got a military contractor basically controlling all the data in the US federal government. That is a serious, serious problem, my friends, right? And we got to fix it. We got to ask the right questions. This is crazy. But this is what's happening again, my friends, right? So again, guys, when you've got trillions of dollars of hardware flying around in our skies, again, I want to repeat, that is pertinent to the manufacturing basis of our plan. We got to look at it and we got to discuss it, my friends, hard, okay? Right? And so here's the other thing. So in 1995, I think this is really important as well to tell you guys and express what I learned here. And Catherine will tell you. In 1995, her and a team, they passed an important law, which was great for the government to provide what they call financial and audit statements, right? And so they came up with something called undocumented adjustments. Now, an undocumented adjustment, as Catherine will describe to you and tell you, is, let's say you got $2,000 in your bank account, and the bank sends you a statement saying you have $500. Instead of figuring out where the difference came from, you send a bank statement saying you've got $1,500, and voila, you've balanced your checkbook, right? Well, since that process started in 1995, guys, when Catherine was interviewed, I believe it was in 2017 or 2018, we were up to $12 trillion, she tells you, in undocumentable adjustments and transactions, guys. $12 trillion. I mean, unbelievable. And here's another amazing figure I think you guys will find. So, what about $21 trillion? Do you remember when Catherine got, guys, she got help from Professor Skidmore at the University of Michigan. He had 15 to 20 of, I guess, of his grad students. You know, they were going through all the documents in the US federal government. And over a period of a year or several months, they came up with the magic number, guys. Extraordinary amount of money, too. $21 trillion missing since 1998, my friends. And as extraordinary amount of money that is, as Catherine knows, that doesn't even include other elements in the US federal government, guys. That was just from house and urban development, okay? Yeah, 21 trillion. As I say, guys, that's a magic number because that will theoretically pay off the US debt at $20 trillion. And again, a few researchers have talked about this, including the great Catherine Austin Fitts, of course. I mean, extraordinary, right? Unbelievable. Here's another extraordinary number for you guys that blew my mind too. How about if you go to from the early 1990s up to the bailouts of the banks, guys, back in 2015 or 2016 or so, Catherine said we were up to $40 trillion shifted out of North America. That's right. 40 trillion, because, and she's right about the estimates, guys, because $40 trillion in assets, because if you go to the pump and dump of the stock markets, you know, quantitative easing, you know, 20 trillion or so bailed out to the banks. You had literally 11.5 trillion missing from the US federal government. You add those pots of money, you easily get to 40 trillion or more, guys. Okay, that's reason, logic, common sense. Fitz knows this. Well, now in 2018 or 2019 she was interviewed, guys. Now we're up to $50 trillion in assets, she estimates, shifted out of North America, guys. Yes, and this doesn't include what may have been shifted in the developed world in Europe, my friends. That's right. And Catherine tells you, you know, you put an endowment, get this, guys, you put an endowment at 5%, you know, that's 2% return a year. Get this, you can finance, she tells you, the global government on a private basis. That's right. The interviewer laughed at her and she said, no, I'm serious. I mean, unbelievable. This is what's happening, guys, right? And we know the G7, G20, of course, is a push, you know, for them to try to have a global governance system. As Catherine knows, thankfully, they're more, you know, they're sort of stuck in the mud. They've encountered more salt taffy on the ground, thankfully, than they expected, some of these corporate ruling class elites or the financial cabal. So we got 50 trillion shifted out in North America, as I say, my friends. Doesn't include what may have been shifted even in the developed world in Europe. I mean, it's just unbelievable amounts of money that we're talking about, guys. And when you're talking about these pots of money, right, you're literally saying that you're looking at these covert military civilizations, as I described, my friends. This off-world culture, as I said, post-petroleum civilization, because they're certainly not relying on fuel to go swiftly into space, right? And the amazing performances. They're not relying on rockets. We all know this. Anybody who's half awake and knows anything about physics. My videos, guys. But again, when you've got these pots of money, you're essentially saying, and Catherine knows too, guys, you're financing this secret classified world out there, these covert military civilizations, and in other words, you're sacrificing healthcare. Fitz knows this too, guys. This is why dark journalists and Fitz have said too, we should have a policy discussion, right? Because they're sacrificing healthcare and education. They should, all these pots of money should be going to, as I've always said, to help increase nursing wages, for example, right? Help the quality of our old age homes, retirement homes for our loved ones, of course, older ones. They should help, again, with education, with our young people, but it's not, my friends. Very little of this money is going towards that, right? As I've always said, the Empire of the United States, it's a great country overall, my friends, no question. But we know that also there's a lot of ways to improve this country, guys, and providing transparency and truth on the black budget is an essential part of that, guys. I think in evolving again, the human race, and particularly in the United States and really the world, my friends, right? We've got to talk about these financial issues and look at military UFO flying programs. So, again, guys, when you look at these pots of money, you know, as Catherine knows too, when you're building bases on Mars, again, which they've done, my friends, there's already multi-planetary civilizations established. You know, the big lie they keep saying for humanity that we are going to build this multi-planetary civilization in years to come on Mars. It's already there, my friends. I've always said, and that's reason, logic, common sense, guys. You just got to look a little bit at the covert side and just see what's happening. Elon Musk, he tells you he's going to Mars in 5 years. I get so excited and riled up, guys. This guy tells you, and he's just a CIA puppet, I've always said. I truly believe that, guys. He's just there for perception management, largely. He's a shill for the U.S., the U.S. CIA, my friends, and the defense contractors, because this guy's using a rocket. You know, don't let Elon Musk disorient, deceive you guys. A lot of this commercial space, really all of it, guys, it's a scam. I know it's exciting. As I've said in my last video, there's so many exciting things to come down the pipeline, guys, with the space-based economy, right? And major space investment, space travel. But don't let the commercial space companies scam you guys. Know the truth, my friends. We're way past rockets. But you would never know it, would you, by looking at Elon Musk or Branson with his Virgin Space Company, guys. We've got to penetrate this black budget technology, guys. You know, again, because these covert military civilizations, as I've discussed many times in my videos, my friends, and Catherine will tell you the same thing, it's caused enormous privileges for a small group of people, the people that are in the know. You know, as I said in the last video, guys, one of the dangers of the space-based economy, and Fitz knows this too, is one of the great dangers of the space-based economy is this divergence between the people in the know and the people who don't know, okay? And that secrecy, that divergence, my friends, it's caused privileges, as she says, my friends, it's caused enormous privileges. And privileges, as she will tell you, is the most wasteful thing that you can have for an economy, right? Because it can literally destroy so much optimization within an economy that it destroys the wealth of the people with their privileges, my friends. This is, again, why we've got to bring transparency and truth, right, on these issues. And on these covert military civilizations, get a fundamental understanding of a lot of their activities, my friends, okay? I can understand some secrecy, but when you're gouging trillions of dollars, so much money from taxpayers and covert economic crime cash flows that you're using, then we deserve the truth on it. Not to mention, as I said, guys, the cover-up has been going on at least 60 plus years, really 70 years now, guys. Okay, come on. The first gravity breakthrough, I told you in my videos, we all know, started in Nazi Germany. Anybody who's half awake, my friends, okay? And then the second major gravity breakthrough, manipulating the gravity and magnetic fields for these UFOs, guys, that started and it was made in the early 1950s. No question about it, okay? Catherine doesn't get into that, but you guys know I do, okay? This is significant, my friends. And they've held the rest of the world hostage, and we've been enslaved, as we know, to petrol, stinky oil, gas, and coal for 50 to 60 years at least when we haven't needed it, guys. It's ridiculous, okay? So again, my friends, so much pots of money. It's extraordinary, I know. I'm just trying to think if there's any other figures, monies that I forgot to discuss in this video today, guys. I don't think so. I think I've mentioned a lot of the numbers that I wanted to convey to you guys. And through Catherine's, of course, times in Washington and what she's researched and learned since she's retired. I mean, this amount of, the question I was asked on the live stream, I thought you guys might be curious, and hopefully you'll listen to it one day, but I'll tell you right now, Joe from the Carolinas, he asked me a great question on the live stream, of course. He said, well, where do you think the $50 trillion is going, Jason? Where do you think it went? And I hesitated, and I thought, well, I said to him, well, I think for sure a lot of this money is for off-planet investment. No question about it. And we know the U.S., if you use reason, logic, common sense, guys, the U.S. has significant space-based weapons. They absolutely do. And Catherine knows it too, guys. This was all going on during the Reagan administration. We know it because it was STS. They called it Star Wars, right? Where you had the militarization of space. And actually that brings me up to my next point I forgot, guys, where during the Reagan administration, I always described, you had financial fraud really going on an industrial scale, as I always describe, right? Even Catherine knows during the 80s and 90s, guys, again, it was so massive, and of course it still is, but, and you know, Catherine says, and we'll go into the 50 trillion, guys, where a lot of this money is going in a moment again, but She says that, you know, this financial fraud and incompetence that you saw reported worldwide, of course, that they talk about, really, that's just a cover story, guys, because she describes it was a financial coup d'etat. That's what it was, my friends. And, you know, one of the interesting questions, and she thought this was fascinating too, I think for years, you know, Catherine's been asking, why did we rebalance the global economy in the mid-90s in such an aggressive way, you know, that was going to cause enormous fast change and heartache and opportunity around the world? Why did we do it, right? Did we do it, she said, because the technology from the space orbital platforms allowed us to do it? And we know there's more and more invasive methods coming from those space orbital platforms, my friends, right? Just in Cuba and China alone, for example, we know there was some sort of electronic harassment. All this technology is patented, by the way, my friends. And it could go through walls as it did in Cuba and China, and literally they could target people in buildings and make you sick. And that's what happened, and we know in Cuba, even mainstream media had to report that. All they would say was a health issue. But these are real technologies, guys, coming from the space orbital platforms and or from jet planes, they can do it. Just remarkable technology. And I give, you know, elements of Lockheed Martin and some of the defense contractors like these guys, I give them credit. They got some of the best engineers and scientists, particularly at Lockheed Martin, so they never have to be mad at me. I give them credit where credit is due, okay? But really, guys, you know, why did we rebalance the global economy, as Catherine has been asking for years? And finally, she came to the conclusion where she said, did we do it because of the space orbital platforms, the technology, or did we do it for a multi-planetary civilization? And she finally came to the conclusion, my friends, that she realizes, and you can see the behavior if you look at it, guys, and what's been going on, that some of these groups found it very, very important to have a multi-planetary civilization, some of the corporate ruling class elites, and do it as quickly as possible. And now, again, you guys, you got the CIA puppets. I describe Elon Musk, the commercial dangle for the US intel agencies largely. He's going, as they say, to Mars on a one-way trip. He's telling the world in the next 5 years. So why do they want a multi-planetary civilization so quickly? That's the big question, my friends. And nobody really has an answer to it. Hopefully there's not a catastrophe to come down, you know, soon. But so it's fascinating, guys, and we've got to talk about it. We've got to provide transparency and truth on all these issues, right? Again, my friends, the secret technology development in these classified, unacknowledged special access projects, the secrecy is just, it's so absurd, my friends. There is an absolute schizophrenic wall of secrecy. Dark journalists and other researchers know it, and we've got to break down the walls. We're starting to unpack more truth, my friends, and we absolutely could do it. But we've got to coalesce our ideas and thinking, as I always say, my friends. We've got to have intelligent discourse. Let's do more podcasts. Let's have live podcast theater. I think that's one of the many ways, my friends, that using the multimedia sites, using YouTube platforms respectfully, which I'm thankful for, and YouTube can know that, and the CIA can know that too. And as I said, there's still some good people in these organizations, even in the CIA, as much as I get on them, my friends. So we've got to compel ourselves. Let's do some live podcast theater like I did with Joe from the Carolinas. Let's have some charismatic people using their intelligent discourse as best as they can and try to help other people and educate the masses on this technology, my friends. We absolutely can do it, okay? And then eventually we can override some of the corporate mainstream media, some of the intelligent agencies out there, help compel them and the US leadership and government to explain away this cover-up, okay? But one last thing I meant to say too, guys, is that, and Catherine knows this, and my buddy Michael Schratt, the great aerospace aircraft historian, who's trying to penetrate the black budget technology, like me, one of the very few people in the world, and I believe myself, my friends, we're trying to do that, okay, for the world. And Michael Schratt's been at this for a long time, okay? He knows more about aircraft in general than I do. You know, he's sort of like an engineer, kind of almost like a, well, I won't use the other word. But anyway, so guys, you know, here's the thing. Most congressmen, senators, high-level government officials, remember one thing, they are not read into these programs. Very few of them know what the hell's going on, my friends. You know, even Catherine knows too, right? A lot of us, especially watch corporate mainstream media, you know, if you don't look or deal with the covert side, unlike Catherine's done, then, you know, most people think congressmen, senators is all powerful, right guys? But like I said in my last video, or the video before, when we're talking about a higher echelon, so-called, of society, these covert military civilizations, my friends, that can literally implement their will. We're talking about a civilization, whether it be control files, offering personnel benefits, right? Whether it be mind control technology, whether it be electronic harassment, as I mentioned earlier with those technologies, guys, whether it be threatening or killing your loved ones, whatever it is, my friends, we're talking about a civilization that can implement their will. And literally, at the highest echelons of society, my friends, and we're talking about some greedy, evil, insidious, death-dealing forces, unfortunately, out there, my friends. We've got to call them on it. But some of these groups, my friends, we're talking about a civilization. And Catherine will tell you that with this hidden secret system of finance and the black budget, you know, that's totally off the main path, as we know, and off the charts in the US, my friends. We're talking about a civilization with the hidden secret system of finance that's been put into place all these decades, my friends. It is literally created a secret slavery system. Yes, that is part of servicing and running the secret financial system. So important, my friends, that we talk about this and stop this evil, right? Again, I repeat, my friends, with the hidden secret system of finance, it's created a secret slavery system that is part of servicing and running the secret financial system, my friends. Absolutely. And we'll do a whole, hopefully, videos on slavery in the near future. Catherine talked about it a bit too, my friends, in videos I noticed, okay? And you better believe, my friends, when we're talking this amazing technology and the hidden secret system of finance, all this major covert production we know going on the moon and Mars, if you just open your eyes. Billy Carson will tell you too, my friends. Just one example. Him and his researchers, they've discovered over 50,000 anomalies on the one side of Mars alone. And he knows it's going on the far side of the moon. He's talked about that, so many words. But it's going on major, big time on Mars too, the last several decades, guys. And they haven't been courageous enough to tell the world. They're lying to you guys about that, okay? But it's happening, my friends, okay? This is real, all right? So we got to talk about and discuss this, my friends, all right? Thank you so much for listening to me, my friends. Hopefully there's not too much I forgot on this video. I know it's a longer video. There's a lot to digest and take in. But I hope you found it enlightening and interesting, and learning a bit about Catherine's encapsulated view, too, in Washington, and seeing all the money disappearing, what she's uncovered since she's retired, my friend. She's looking at the financial systems of the economy, realizing it's so important for millions and millions of people worldwide, my friends, because when you're talking the empire of the United States, the US federal budget, and all our allies, that means a lot of Europe as well, and other countries, my friends, it affects all those people, right? They're financially harvesting the planet. And I meant to say, guys, you're looking at a leveraged buyout of the planet, as I said, or a re-engineering of the whole global governance system. That's what's happening, guys. We need to wake up, right? And we need to call out these shadow groups respectfully and yet firmly. Let's do a peaceful march. I always say, you Americans out there, do a peaceful march in front of Washington, why don't you, with picket signs saying we want our divine right to the black budget technology, my friends. And we want transparency and truth from the defense contractors, the likes of Lockheed Martin, as an example, guys. Okay? Because enough is enough. As I said, guys, this cover-up, the U.S. leadership of government, most of them, my friends, they cannot give moral absolution. That's their problem, right? With all, you know, the whole cover-up, guys, we'll do more videos on it again in the future, but how do they explain away the cover-up, right? That's their problem. How do they explain away, as Catherine knows, stealing trillions of dollars from taxpayers basically over the years, all this covert economic crime cash flows, at least hundreds of billions of dollars the last several decades, if not trillions. So how do they explain away that? And how do they explain away all the illegal operations, right? And the technology has just been transferred over to the private corporations, all these companies, my friend. As soon as they try to explain that, you know, people are going to say, where are my shares of Google Earth or securities and all this, right? In other words, guys, as Catherine will tell you, it's going to force a look at basically the United States' authenticity and credibility of most of the U.S. leadership government is going to be looked at. And the credibility of most of the U.S. leadership government will be looked at. It'll be destroyed, guys. Again, I should say, the entire authenticity and credibility of the U.S. leadership and government is going to be looked at. And that includes the defense contractors, guys. And we just got to call them out. And then the credibility of most U.S. leadership and government, therefore, will be destroyed, guys. Because I told you, they've been financing this military technology largely. And also, at times, gouging taxpayers for it. And of course, the defense contractors, big time, doing that too, guys. And CIA, elements of the CIA. So this is how it works, guys. We'll do future videos. I hope you found this interesting. If you enjoy my videos, again, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Let's take this to a whole new level, guys. I need help with promoting my videos. You know, I want to try to be a little bit more delicate with what I say concerning the algorithms of YouTube. I hope this video gets promoted, guys. All right? And again, I hope you'll give me the thumbs up, share my videos. Feel free to leave a comment. I read them, my friends. I appreciate your engagement. And I can, you know, hopefully there's not too much criticism, but I can deal with some. All right? And I hope there's more. And I thank you for all your positive comments that do come my way. All right? Because again, guys, my intentions are pure. I'm trying to be bold, honest, open, true from the heart. I hope you can tell. I'm not perfect. I try to learn from my mistakes, but I'm with you guys. I want to transform our world, my friends. I know we can facilitate a profound, transformative change in our world, a positive. We can beautify this planet, guys. This is what this free energy will do, guys. We're talking, as I've discussed many times, my friends, these are free energy generation propulsion systems. The black budget technology, guys, okay? And we're not talking rockets from these ridiculous planes that they try to lie to you about, okay? Come on. The real technology, the exotic technology that we should have access to and integrated in our society, my friends, that's the black budget technology, the free energy generation propulsion systems. And those systems, as I've told you guys, and any researcher will tell you this with a grain of salt, but there's not many of them out there, it will get you off centralized utilities like that, and it'll get us eventually off stinky oil, gas, and coal, guys. It will clean our ecosystem up in about 10 years or so. It's got that potential because it's free energy, my friends. And we will do videos more on this free energy and these systems of these crafts, my friends. We're going to break down the black budget technology, God willing, again, very soon for you. So more great videos to come. And hopefully we'll get in, we'll discuss more on the missing trillions, guys, because you got to talk about it, right? And oh, one last thing, guys, that 50 trillion I meant to say when Joe asked me, where's the 50 trillion going? I meant to say the $50 trillion question, of course, is how much is it for off-plan investment versus how much is to re-engineer North America's economy? Because the good news is I think some of these corporate ruling class elites, they would like in some ways to get America great again. Some of the groups anyways. So how much is it for that versus how much is it, as I said earlier, to re-engineer or sort of assert a global governance system of the earth, guys. Again, how much is it for off-plan investment versus how much is it to retrench manufacturing back to America? 3D printing will be crucial for that. We'll do videos on that, guys. Versus how much is it to assert a global governance of the whole earth? Again, G7, G20 was a push, as we see, to try to get a global governance system, guys. We got to be awake on that. Thankfully, they're stuck in the mud, as I said a little bit there. Take care, guys. Live strong. Again, global vigilance for victory. That's why I do these videos, my friends. Let's get our power and sovereignty back. Have a great day. Hope you'll subscribe. See ya.